Hello, I'm James Toy, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for KCRAR. You're about to watch one of our candidate interviews, an unfiltered, front row look at how those seeking office approach the issues that shape private property rights and the real estate industry as a whole. We share these conversations publicly so you can hear directly from the candidates, understand their positions in their words, and cast your vote with confidence.
Good morning to everyone. I want to thank you all for being with us today. This interview is being hosted by our RPAC trustees representing the Realtors Political Action Committee. We represent more than 13,000 realtors in the metro area and our surrounding communities. Today's discussion focuses on real estate related items, including housing policy, economic development, because each real estate transaction we know generates roughly about $60,000 in local economic impact. And we feel that when real estate is strong, the economy is strong. And these interviews help us understand which candidates share that perspective and support policies that strengthen our communities. So I want to welcome Cody Atkinson, who is a candidate for Independent City Council, correct?
Yes, sir.
I also want to welcome our two trustees with us today, T. David Rogers and Dan O'Neill. Dan and David are both seasoned veterans of this. They've been doing this for a really long time. And so we'll kind of jump right into it. So Cody, if you could, could you just start off telling us a little bit about why you're running and maybe give us a little bit of background on yourself and what led you to this moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm running because I've always felt a call to try to help people, and I feel that I can be a part of the solution that brings independence back into being a regional leader. There are a number of issues that we're facing here with affordable housing being one of the key tenets that we need to solve before some of these other issues get resolved. So the reason that I'm running ultimately is to lean on my experience, my background within public policy. I do have a master's in public administration as well, and try to use that expertise and knowledge to move us forward.
Gentlemen, you guys jump in with any questions do you have any leadership roles now that are you working with any groups or civic organizations or any other types of leadership roles that you've been involved in?
Yeah, I'm the chair of the Jackson County Animal Welfare Committee. I got that in part because I am the state director for a large animal welfare nonprofit. They don't like me to mention that for campaign reasons, being a nonprofit, but I'm also on the board of adjustment for the city, and my wife and I participate as a big couple for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Can you explain I'm sorry, you mentioned a board of something. I'm sorry, the board of
Adjustment?
adjustment. Yeah, can you explain that?
Yeah, so if there's a project that somebody would like to do that is outside of what is allowed by city code, or if they've done a project that they maybe didn't realize was done incorrectly, they come before the Board of Adjustment and request that they receive a variance. And we decide whether it is appropriate to allow that variance. So a number of unique cases come before us, and we have to evaluate them on a case-by-case basis, which is really wonderful because obviously city code cannot cover every single last potential situation. So it's really nice to have that opportunity for folks to come and make that case before citizens.
Is that more like a board of zoning appeals or like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm involved in planning and zoning in my community, and so we have a board of zoning appeals for variances, things like that that don't fit, and then of course we have the city planning commission.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like the same thing by different name.
Dan or David, do you have anything you want to jump in on?
I'll yield to you, David.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Cody, just in general, as far as your interest in Independence, the city of Independence. I've been a resident of the city of Independence since about 1973, and seen a lot of changes. And what is your uh, running for city council person? What's your general vision for the city of Independence? You mentioned bringing it back to a regional leader role. What does that mean to you?
Absolutely. So, it's no surprise to, I'm sure, you and other Independence residents that we are in a very tight budget squeeze. We spend quite a bit on our first responders, which is not a bad thing. It's just that we have so little money that they take up about 70% of our budget. That leaves us with spending roughly 1% on things like our parks and recreation, where other cities spend about 5 or 6. Independence has a lot of green space available for development that I would really like to get more rec centers, greater parks, more opportunities for programs that are accessible to a number of ages and various abilities. Um, but more concerning even than the budget is the fact that in our recent Parks Master Survey, 40% of the Independence population by the year 2032 is going to be at the age of 55 or older. Now, that is not a dig at folks that are older, but it
Well, it
is a
doesn't include the three of us, so we're good there.
The problem with that is that as folks get older, they move into a fixed income. They are less willing to spend outside of a fixed budget, and that can cause kind of a spiral downward for an already tight budget. So I would like to work with folks like yourself, other business partners, nonprofits, and bringing more investment into the city. That way we can expand on programs that attract new populations back into Independence.
Okay.
Can you speak a little bit on economic development in Independence? Being a Kansas resident, I'm probably less familiar than David and Dan with regard to what's going on in Independence right now. But I know, of course, we're right at the center of the chief's discussion being in Wyandotte County, that kind of thing. So we kind of, I think, are expecting an explosion of growth in the coming years. Can you speak to your views on economic development and how you feel about different projects coming to the city? A lot of people don't want to see their city change, but we also know that we have to have tax revenue, and economic development certainly provides those. So maybe your thoughts on economic development.
Right. So for economic development, we need to look at some forward-looking industries. I'm very interested in potentially some greater development along our riverfront property, looking at the possibility of doing something like an Independence Port Authority. Now, there isn't a whole lot of riverfront properties, so we won't be getting something like another soccer stadium or something like Kansas City has. But there's tremendous opportunity for development along that sort of space. And then along with that, I would like to look at some zoning changes for greater mixed use development, in which we can have greater integration of commercial and residential spaces, not just brand new, but also into older neighborhoods, especially where folks are aging. I think in order for folks to stay within their homes as they're aging, we need to have greater access to smaller grocery stores, coffee shops, community gathering places, where folks don't have to get in a car and drive to get to somewhere that they want to go. I also really want to focus on Independence being a place where people get to come and actually speak to one another. I am very concerned about what I'm seeing, not just in my own generation, but in future generations, in which there are fewer and fewer opportunities for people to participate in sports leagues, go out to a park and enjoy those conservation areas. As technology becomes more and more integrated into our lives, we are separating from one another. And, I want to make Independence focus a lot more on getting people together through parks and recreation, through a better restaurant scene, anything along those lines that just get people back to being human beings with each other.
Getting them to unplug, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
Along those lines, of course, the big issue in Independence currently is the data center that we're getting ready to work with, developing in the Little Blue Valley thoroughfare out there. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, so I mean, very forward on this. Whenever it was first announced that a data center was coming to Independence, I was adamantly opposed. Kind of keeping track of what has happened in other cities with the advent of these data centers, the way that they consume electricity and water and drive up prices for other people. I was deeply, deeply concerned. I immediately reached out to council members. I sat down with the head of Independence Power and Light. I attended the meet and greet with Nebius just last week, I believe, um, to figure out, where those concerns may be um, smoothed over. And I've come away very impressed with what the city has done as far as those negotiations to protect ratepayers, to protect our watershed, to get that building out of a floodplain. So I think it is a tremendous opportunity for us to partner with a um, what seems to be a very good company looking to kind of change the way data centers are built, because they understand just as well as we do the history that has not been kind to their development elsewhere. So, this being the first data center that Nebius is building from the ground up, I think that they want to make it in an example of efficiency and a good community partner. And as I mentioned earlier, we are in a budget crunch. We just don't have the opportunity and ability to say, hey, we don't need $50 million a year for the next 20 years. Um, we need those dollars to be able to put into, I know I've said it a few times, but parks and recreation, but also into programs like our alternative response to community health and deal with our drug and mental health crisis here. Into removing blighted spaces, into helping folks with disabilities or seniors who aren't able to take care of their homes and maybe in violation of some sort of code, and get them to help without. When I was speaking with the director of IPL, he was talking about the tremendous opportunity for bringing in AMI for better response times to power outages or even being made aware of issues early on whenever trees are touching a power line, or even doing home audits for efficiency and helping out folks who may not be able to afford these big efficiency upgrades, blowing in insulation into their attic, new windows, things like that, but being able to help them upgrade their homes a little bit so their gas or electric bill isn't the reason that they lose their home.
David, do you have anything?
Cody, you mentioned several different issues. One of my questions that I'd written down is, in your opinion, what are the top issues, like three top issues in the City of Independence? And you've mentioned the budget scenario as one issue. Do you see that? And that's always an issue everywhere, but do you see that more of a tax base issue or an expense situation, income or expense focused issue?
Well, I'd hate to play both sides of the line, but it is both
Yeah.
sides of the line here in Independence. We are at about, I believe, 75% of the average income of the metro. So we are bringing in quite a bit less than others.
Yeah.
We also don't have a ton of that commercial tax revenue compared to some other cities. So that is a revenue issue. But we can't squeeze that lemon anymore because there's no juice left. So we need to figure out how to get new companies and new folks moved into Independence and investing here.
No. Okay.
Um, Cody, talking about infrastructure, as the city grows and evolves, obviously there's going to be infrastructure needs, transportation, utilities, public services, those all remain significant concerns. How would you prioritize and address the needs as a council member?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I do want to address right out of the gate is getting our police force back to fully staffed. Right now, I believe we're somewhere around 14 to 20 officers short. If people don't feel safe in their community, they don't want to stay here. They don't want to move here. And that goes equally For the fire department, right now, the fire department makes about 30% less starting out than the rest of the metro. But we do have the highest call volume per capita in the state of Missouri. So we need to make sure that we are taking care of the folks that take care of this city, and that can have some waterfall effects afterwards. We were able to pass revenue bonds to take care of some of the infrastructure projects, but obviously, again, if you have nice sidewalks, if you have nice roads, that starts to change the opinion of folks from outside of Independence, and it also keeps people here. So having kind of the two basics right out of the gate are nice. But number three, which I would potentially argue is also my number one, is taking care of the folks who are most at risk. My brother, he struggled, thankfully, at this point with drug abuse. He came back from Afghanistan, um, saw and did some really horrendous things. People have a very hard time with that. He also suffers from schizophrenia. So I think we need to extend that helping hand, get folks into treatment facilities, get them back on track, work with private industry, with our labor unions to get people busy again, get them with an occupation, with a purpose, get them clean, get them in a home, and really lift that bottom. Because so much of our city resources go toward, just sort of putting a band-aid on a lot of these issues. I don't want the police having to respond to the same area so many times, the same people so many times. That cost a lot of money, and that money is, better used elsewhere in the long run. So I would really like to have a heavy emphasis on getting folks off the streets, clean, back in homes, and back to work.
In an earlier statement, you briefly said that you were in favor of promoting affordable housing. How do you see the city's role I mean, that term is being bantered around by a lot of people, but not a lot of people are doing anything about it. So how do you see the city's role in promoting affordable housing?
Yeah, so one, I think we need to take a very comprehensive look at where housing would be wise to be built within Independence, along transit lines, closer to the highway, anything along those lines, and seeing what we need to do as far as potentially clearing that land, seeing if there are any zoning issues, ordinances, codes that need to be updated and changed. That would be in consultation with folks like yourselves, nonprofits, community partners as well within those neighborhoods or near those neighborhoods, and really lowering their costs to even get started out of the gate. So that's a big one. Again, mixed use development, making more than just another enclave of homes that look the same. Some more development where people want to live and enjoy, walking on the sidewalk, going to the coffee shop together. A lot of that community partnership as well, that I was talking about earlier, where people go out and they actually speak to one another. They enjoy the same things. They're off their phones, really building neighborhoods that reflect kind of the older photos that I've seen of Independence in Kansas City, where they're really bustling streets and people are out enjoying food and drinks and play all together. But obviously it starts with making sure that it's affordable to build in the first place, because those costs get passed on to whoever has to buy. So clearing out issues like that. Clearing blight is another big issue for me. It is it's pretty obvious that whenever you drive around Independence, that there are a lot of blighted buildings, blighted old homes that have sat vacant for years. They've been used as dumping grounds for people's junk. They have been used as campgrounds for folks that are probably not doing things you want done in your neighborhood. So really clearing some land for development as well.
So how do you feel, as a follow-up question, how do you feel about the city using eminent domain to to acquire those properties?
To acquire the blighted properties,
Yeah.
I am a proponent of something like that. If it is a problem property that has been stripped of its copper and its ductwork and has become a serious issue with homeless encampments, then I believe that that property needs to be taken over by another entity.
David, I'm going to go to you for one last question if you have one. If not, I'll wrap us up.
Yeah, Cody, we've talked about a lot of issues, and generally speaking, when you talk about issues, you focus on negative things. In your mind, looking forward, as far as the City of Independence, what are maybe some positives in the city, the things that we can look to say, hey, there's something that we can build on, something that we can expand on, and what are in your mind maybe two or three positive things about the City of Independence that maybe could be used as a focal point to go forward, move the city forward?
Yeah, so three of my favorite places in Independence are going to be the Square, Inglewood, and George Owens. There have been tremendous efforts, obviously, in the Square renovations. Not everybody likes them, but I, I understand changes. It's difficult to consume sometimes, but everybody loves a good town square, and I love the Square. Inglewood, with the Inglewood Theater being purchased by a nonprofit and being under renovation, I think that is a tremendous opportunity in Independence to really make it the focal point of the art scene in Eastern Jackson County, and even start to pull away folks out of the Crossroads who have been priced out of that community. The Inglewood Arts Center is really incredible. If you haven't been there, I would highly, highly encourage it. That is something that whenever you want growth, whenever you want new folks to move in, you really have to push a strong art scene, because the art scene will bring in the restaurant scene, the bar scene, the coffee shops, all of those different things that younger people want. And then George Owens, it's a fantastic park. I really love it. The Parks Department, despite a pretty small budget, does a really wonderful job there. Would love to see more programs and conservation spaces like that.
Thank you. So one final wrap-up question. So realtors play a major role in the community, and they work closely with residents, property owners, local businesses. Why should the realtors support your candidacy for city council?
I don't know that you're going to find somebody who's more pro builder than I am. I am, the son of an electrician. I come from a long line of blue collar workers, full of family members who come from that building and trades. Those are good jobs. That is the kind of job that if you have a large housing development, a commercial development, that you are secure for a very long time. Everybody keeps saying things like, oh, it's just temporary jobs that are being brought in. Well, those temporary jobs mean something to a lot of people. Again, that's how people take care of their family. That's how you stay occupied. It is a lot of jobs too. Thousands upon thousands of jobs whenever you're talking about some of these bigger projects. And we can partner in a way that, talking about our issue with homelessness and folks struggling with drug addiction, getting them into a skilled trade as well. So it starts to solve a lot of problems. And then just my general wanting to get prices down. I want to work with you all to understand where we can attack issues and drive down prices in our community. I am somebody who has now, for 8 years, worked for a couple different nonprofits and relied on partnerships. I know how to build coalitions, maintain coalitions, work with anybody and everybody to solve problems. And that's what you'll find in me is a partner, somebody willing to listen and ready to act.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us this morning and putting up with a few of our little technology issues. We appreciate you taking the time to be here and answering our questions. We certainly wish you the best of luck. And we'll be using this interview to meet with the rest of our trustees. So when we go forward and making decisions on candidates we'll support, we'll certainly get back to you in some fashion. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you, Cody.
Have a good one.